Hi everybody, welcome back. I am excited about this video. My husband's here with me, Ammon, and we are going to talk about teaching your young children a foreign language. And this is kind of a hot topic right now because the world's becoming more and more connected internationally, and so it's more important than ever to learn a foreign language. When our kids were really young, we actually decided to speak Spanish with them, and we kind of got lazy in the last few years, but we still try to keep up some Spanish, and we really enjoyed doing that when our kids were toddlers. So Ammon has some tips for us on what ways you can teach your young child a foreign language.
It started off really with us it was awkward. It was really awkward. I mean, how do you really talk to a baby? And so we said some little things here and there, like, hi, I'm your dad, and your name is King. Our first child's name is King. And so just this constant introducing ourselves back and forth, and then eventually it was almost like we had created this own sort of private foreign country in our own home. And so it became more natural to talk to them. The thing that really helped our kids pick it up was teaching them Spanish as if we were just teaching them English. I would take them around the house, for example. I'd carry him around and try to lift him up a little bit while he was just a baby, and just kind of touch things and tell them what they were. But as an infant, that's not quite as effective. They can't really see a whole lot, they can't move a lot. None of these things mean a lot to them, but they are absorbing the sound of the language.
Just like you would speak to a baby in your own native language, we just used Spanish instead of English.
Exactly.
For our babies.
And to a lot of people it seemed kind of ridiculous, but we knew that it was inevitable that they would learn English because everybody at church speaks English, their extended family speaks English, everybody around us spoke English. Within the walls of our home, though, we could speak whatever we wanted to.
And they did learn English eventually.
Oh, absolutely.
It took them a little while longer than if we had only spoken English to them, but they had no problems with English.
No, not at all. And so, it's just ridiculous myths and ideas. But in the toddler years, so now that, newborn baby is used to the sound of the language, as they become a toddler, they're able to really experience the world, the environment around them. And you can hold them up and they're holding their own head, and you can touch stuff and they'll tap it and they'll repeat it. And I would take them on these tours through the house. I'd get home from work or school or whatever and take King around the house, and he'd tap the wall as I would tap it and say, this is the wall, esta es la pared, for example. Or as we walk through a door and we'd open that door, I'd say, I'm opening the door because it was shut. The door is shut, now I'm opening it. And sometimes I would do it like 2 or 3 times. He was able to learn light because I would turn the switch. And in these tours, I know they were effective because very, very quickly he was able to respond to commands as he began to walk. I'd say, oh, go shut the door. And I'd tell him in Spanish, and he'd run over and do it.
Let's go on and tell me one of the other techniques that you were writing about in the blog post about a really good way to teach your young child a foreign language. And also pointing out that if you don't start when they're newborn, it's okay. It's not too late. It's fun to do it that way, and we did it that way and it worked, but when they're in the younger years, they're still very able to learn a foreign language. It doesn't have to be from day one, is that right?
Oh, right. I didn't learn to speak Spanish until I was 19 years old, so
okay.
Yes, anytime you can start is great. Sure, it's a little bit easier. It might sound more native. But so besides speaking to them and doing these tours with them, Another really effective tool has been to read to them. And it doesn't matter what age they are, you start reading something like Green Eggs and Ham to them in a foreign language, it's just really amazing with the repetition. They start repeating the phrases and they'll start using them. Or at the dinner table they'll say, oh yeah, like in Green Eggs and Ham, and they'll repeat the phrases.
And they love being read to.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Just most children, that's something they love anyway, so it's not hard to convince them to come sit down and study Spanish when you're just reading a book that they love anyway.
We have some kids that do understand Spanish really well and some that don't understand Spanish, but when I read these books to them, it doesn't matter to any of them. They love being read to.
So let's talk about how we pick our books.
Okay. Picture books with really good pictures that it's a picture of what you're reading. If you're talking about something red in the text, you've got to have a picture of something red. If it's big, the word big, the thing in the picture has to be big, and so on and so forth. The picture really has to match what the text says.
And then also pointing out the picture while you're reading. Not just assuming your child notices it, but point that out and say the words and explain what means what.
Yep. The other thing that I like to look for in a book is that it does have repetition. In the case of Green Eggs and Ham, they repeat the same phrases over and over and over again, and in the pictures you can find certain animals in the picture and say, oh, where's that goat? Oh, there's the goat, which that's one of their favorite parts, is a little goat in there. So having the phrases repeat over and over again, once you're done reading the book, if you've read it once, you've already read it several times, it feels like. The final thing that I like to look for in a book is that it has a well-established sort of a theme to it. You can ask yourself, what is the author trying to teach the child from this book? Because obviously it's for teaching the child, not the adult. And
maybe
often,
both.
Yeah, that's true.
Primarily the child.
Whatever.
Go ahead.
So, like a theme, for example, could be prepositional phrases, it could be body parts, what else?
Colors.
Off the top of my head, yes, colors, nouns, verbs, different actions, things associated with a swimming pool, for example. In the blog I talk about Bears in the Night, where every single phrase is a prepositional phrase, where it's like between the rocks, out the window, and then by the time you're done with the book, you understand the whole concept of what a prepositional phrase is.
Perfect. Okay, so last I want you to share with us, if you will, about how we use technology, because that's another hot topic, like how much is too much and what kinds, but with foreign languages, technology can be really helpful.
Yeah, when we started off, iPads were just sort of coming out, and iPhones, and
They were,
access.
but we weren't using them yet.
Is that what it was?
Oh,
okay, so
no,
more
I
of
don't.
an indie approach.
They're very much more popular now than they were. You're right. I'm just teasing.
Yeah.
But it took us a while to accept the technology because it's scary. You hear about it being addictive or wasting your kids' brains away, so we weren't sure for a while. But
Right. The most important thing, obviously, is to use wisdom and moderation. I mean, a lot of screen time for anybody isn't good. If you hadn't noticed, maybe your eyes start hurting or your head starts hurting. So keep that in consideration with your children. We are not advocating messing with their eyes and their brains. But, so as I said, with the iPads and cell phones just sort of starting to evolve, we had picked out the idea of using DVDs. I had learned about them having various audio tracks and being dubbed into different languages as I lived in Mexico. These are popular movies that we really love. They're kid friendly. Let's see if we can accumulate some videos that have Spanish language tracks, and we'll play that for our children. whether they're watching it or not, they can at least listen to the language and be able to pick up the accent, the pronunciation. And so when they go to learn to read, the words are already familiar with them.
And we didn't even have a DVD player for a while. We had a VCR. And so I looked up, I just remembered this. I looked up all of these Spanish videos because I knew it was important to Ammon, and it was important to me too, that our kids learn Spanish, and we bought all of these old Disney movies that were dubbed in Spanish. So that was our old school way of doing it back then. They were really cheap.
Yeah. You definitely want to save money. So yeah, using DVD language tracks or Disney Plus now, they have that little option. You got to go up in the right hand corner and click on your screen there, and you'll be able to get many different languages, subtitles. Subtitles don't match what they're actually saying, so it can be kind of annoying. But for what it's worth, those options are there available, as well as there's a lot of programs, apps, Babbel, Rosetta Stone, different software. You can use these, but they're not necessary. And the reason I know they're not necessary is because our oldest two, they spoke English just fine. They conjugated verbs. If you can learn English without technology, you can learn Spanish without technology.
We actually started using Rosetta Stone when our two older sons were learning to read. They were like 5 or 6. And so they spoke Spanish fluently, but they used Rosetta Stone to learn not how to speak Spanish, but like Spanish grammar, how to spell, and how to form sentences. It was really interesting. I remember watching them use it and thinking, this is supposed to be teaching them how to speak Spanish, but they already know the words, but it's teaching them how to speak it well. I don't know how to explain how it really was for them, but Rosetta Stone's a good one. Yeah,
so
we like that.
Just like learning your native language in your native country, I mean, every year that I ever went to school, you had English class, advanced English class, more English class, writing class, and it just goes on forever and ever. So you can always improve upon your second language as well, getting textbooks that work for them, sitting down and say, let's look at the grammar. Because either way, we all struggle with our own languages because there's so many different rules. We have to learn to write or speak in a way that's appealing to other people and to be understood.
Which comes up when they're older usually, but at the toddler age, we've got those 3 basic techniques, which were speaking to them in Spanish all the time,
reading to them,
reading good picture books to them,
and taking advantage of technology.
All right, so thank you for watching. I hope that this was helpful for those of you that are thinking of teaching a foreign language to your toddlers or young children. And share this and comment below if you have any ideas or suggestions from what you have used in teaching foreign language in your homeschool. And we'll see you next time.
And on that note, one more thing. We will have a link so that you can purchase an ebook that I actually wrote about our journey. There's a lot of... It's written in a very interesting way. I tried to make it enjoyable so it wasn't dry and boring.
He's being modest. It's really good.
And it explains a little bit about language, the myths and misconceptions about learning a second language, and then how it walks you through how we were able to implement these ideas with our children and how effective they were, and how to be able to help them keep up on it for the rest of their lives.
Yeah.
So
it's got a lot more details than we would fit in this short video. So we'll put that link below. So follow through and check out Ammon's book.
And within a short period of time, you'll have a nice audiobook so you get to hear more of this voice.
That's right. He's mine though. Take it. Thank you, Ammon.
Oh, you're welcome.